Hello, friends. Welcome to our Fashion's YouTube channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. If this is your first time of stopping by my channel, please kindly subscribe and also put on your notification bell so that I get notified once I post a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. So in today's video, we're going to be learning how to cut and sew this lovely off-the-shoulder gown with side frills. I hope this is what you're interested in learning. Kindly stay tuned while we get right into it. So I have my Paloma fabric. That's what we'll be using to achieve this gown. I'll be drafting directly on my lining and I'll be starting with the lower part of this gown. Remember that this gown, from the picture I showed us at the beginning, it has a half cut. That's a half length. So the skirt part is at the down part. Meanwhile, the body and basic bodies, it's at the upper part. So I'm going to be starting my measurements from the waistline since I'm drafting the down part first, and the half length of my client is 16 inches. So I'll be placing my tape at 15.5 inches. I'm placing at 15.5 inches because half inch will be for my sewing allowance instead of placing it exactly at 16 inches, and then when I sew I'll be short. So that is why I'm placing my tape on 15.5 inches. I hope you understand. So I went ahead to mark the hip line, which is at 24 inches. The knee line is at 38 inches, and the full length of this gown is 58 inches. Because I'm drafting on my lining, I won't be adding hemming allowance on the lining. So next to do is to enter quarter of the waist measurement, and then I'll go ahead and add my 2 inches for sewing allowance. And then on the hip line, I'm going to enter quarter of the hip measurement, which is 9.5. And then I'll also add 2 inches for my sewing allowance. Now, on the knee line, whatever you have on the hip line determines what you use on the knee line. So whatever you have on the knee line, subtract 1.5 from it to enter it on the knee line, or 2 inches depending on how tight fitting you want it to be. So here on the hip line I have 11.5. So once I subtract 1.5 from it, I'll be left with 10 inches. So I'm going to enter that 10 inches on the knee line. So here's my 10 inches, and I'll also do the same thing at the full length. That's at the hem of this gown. So I'm going to also enter 10 inches at that point. This is my front piece. I'm making my front piece dartless, so that is why I didn't talk about that here. So I've gone ahead to connect from knee to hip, and I'm connecting from the hip to the waistline. And I'll also do the same by connecting from the knee to the hem line. So next thing I'll be doing is to come down by half of an inch at the center front here on the waistline. This is to eliminate smile lines at the hip line. You don't want your skirt gathering around the front hip line. So right now I'll cut out my front piece because we're done with it. I'll cut it out and then show us how to cut the back. So here I've cut out my front piece and I've placed it over the back lining, and I've also transferred my markings. You can see I have the hip line, the knee line, the hem line, and of course the waist line. So you'll notice that I didn't cut out the waist sloper yet. You can still see my half-inch line there. This is because I want the back is going to be straight. So that is why I haven't cut out the waist sloper. So first I'll be adding 1 inch on the back waistline because the back of this dress is going to have a dart. Remember I made the front dartless, so it's going to have darts. Remember I made the front dartless, so that's why I didn't add my 1 inch for that. So notice that my zip allowance is 1.5. So from that 1.5, I'll be marking half inch. That's I'm subtracting half inch from the 1.5, which is supposed to be for my zip allowance, because I'm using it to eliminate bulge. That taking away that half inch will eliminate bulge from the back of your skirt, because our back waistline is actually smaller than the front waistline where we have our stomach. And then on the knee line, I'm taking away 1 inch, and then also on the hem line, I took away 1 inch from the 1.5 inches that is our zip allowance. This is to give that nice bum illusion, that nice butt effect at the back. Our back is not straight, so you don't want to just cut it straight and then the skirt will not have that nice shape at the back. So that's why I took away 1 inch from the knee line, and I'm also taking away 1 inch from the hemline. So this is me connecting my 1 inch to the hemline, from the knee to the hemline. So of course I didn't take anything from the hip line. So I'm just going to slant my line from the knee line to meet the and the hip line. You can see I still have my 1.5 there. And then I'll also go ahead to connect from the hip line to the waistline, where I took away 1/2 inch to eliminate my zipper bulge. So for that 1 inch I took away from the knee line, I'll be replacing it on the side. That's say I transferred 1 inch from the knee to the side knee there. This is the idea of having this, removing this 1 inch, is to give the skirt that nice butt shape at the back. You can see that the center back is looking like there's a hip there. This is because our butts are not flat. So I'm returning back that 1 inch. If you don't return back that 1 inch, you're going to have a shortage. So I returned the 1 inch to the side there on the knee line and also at the hem line. So this is me connecting it, and then of course I'm going to zerize. That's, I'm going to finish it up on the hip line just like I did for the center back. I'm repeating the same thing for the side. So I've replaced back what I took out, but I'm not replacing back the 1/2 inch I removed for zipper bulge. This is because our back waist is smaller than our front waistline. I hope we get it. So that's it. You can see that the center back has that, is showing that there's a butt there, so it just has to fit and give the nice shape at the back. So now we're done with our patterns, and I've also connected my lines. So I'll go ahead and cut out my back pieces. So I'm done cutting out our back pieces, and this is me notching the center back where I have my zip allowance. So if you don't notch the zip allowance part, it is possible to interchange them. That's take the side to the center and take the center to the side. And I've also removed my waist slope at that 1/2 inch I came down by on the waistline. So you can see I have my two back pieces and I also have my front piece. So that's that. So next we're going to do, can you see, this is me placing them together to indicate that that's the center back. You don't want to make the mistake of not notching it. You will easily interchange them. So now we're going to draft our upper bodies, and I've also placed my fabric to draft both front and back. You'll notice that the back is extended. I also have my 1.5 inches zip allowance there. So here I'll be starting my measurement from -4 inches, and I'll be drafting for both front and back together at the same time. Remember, we are making an off shoulder. So as you can see that the upper part, the fabric I have at the upper part is for the front, and then the one at the back with the 1.5 inches extension is for the back. Okay, so now I'm placing my tape. I'm starting my measurement from -4. So I'm subtracting -4 from my measurement. So here is my starting line. So which is at -4. I went ahead to mark the nipple point of my client, which is at 11 inches, and then her half length, which is 16 inches like I earlier mentioned. Then of course I added 1/2 inch for joining it to the skirt part that we just finished drafting. So with that being said, next is to enter the shoulder measurement. So at the starting line there, I'm going to enter half of my client's shoulder measurement -2. So my client's shoulder measurement is 8 inches. 8 minus 2, that will give me 6. That's our off the shoulder measurement. Remember, we're making off the shoulder, so that place is smaller. So I added 1/2 inch also for joining the sleeve. And remember, I'm drafting for both front and back. And take note that my tape is starting from the center front, not from the zip allowance. So for the back, I also add 1/2 inch to that. So total for the back is 7 inches. and total for the front is 6.5 inches. So this is the shoulder measurement minus 2 inches. I hope we get it. And the back is half inch wider than the front. So now I'll go ahead to mark the chest line, which is also the armhole line. Placing my tape from -4, I'll mark the chest line, which is at 7.5 inches. So here on the chest line, I'll enter quarter of her bust measurement. You can see I'm still placing my tape from the center front. So having done that, on the actual bust line, I'll still go ahead and enter quarter of her bust measurement. And then on the waistline, I'll enter quarter of her waist measurement, which is 6 3/4. So at that waistline, I'll be adding dart of 1 inch. So here I have my dart of 1 inch. I'll also go ahead to add my sewing allowance of 2 inches. I'm adding my sewing allowance of 2 inches on the bust and also on the chest line. So that's that. So I'll go ahead and connect the armhole. First, you can see my placement. I'm connecting to the back armhole first. The back is bigger than the front. Can you see that? So this is the first. The 7 inches is for the back armhole. Okay, and then the second mark is for the front armhole because the front is smaller. I hope we understand. So here we are. So for the center back, just like we removed our zipper bulge on the waistline of the skirt, I'll be taking away half inch also from that point. I used the zip allowance of 1.5 inches. So you can see I've gone ahead to mark my half inch. This is to just eliminate zipper bulge at the back of our gown. You don't want your zip folding at the back. So you can see I marked it all the way to the neckline. So I'm left with 1 inch. Of course, my zip allowance is 1.5 inches. So if I've taken away half inch from my measurement, I'm left with 1 inch. By the time I use half inch to turn my lining, I'll be left with half inch. And I want to fix my zip on 1 inch. So by the time I fix on 1 inch, this will take me into the actual back measurement. So that will now eliminate the zipper bulge. So now I'm marking my neckline and I'm marking at 6 inches. So that's why I placed my tape from 4 inches. That's from the starting point, which is 4 inches, and from -4. I hope we get it. So this is it. So now I've drafted for both my front and back together. So here we, so we'll go ahead and then add half inch. This half inch now is my sewing allowance at the upper part. Remember that I placed my tape from -4 and I marked all my correct points. So that is why I'm going ahead to add half inch at the other upper part. So here we'll connect our markings and then we're going to be cutting on the back lines first. So before we can now remove and cut on the front line because the back is bigger than the front. So I'll be cutting on the half inch mark I added. I'm using the same neckline for both front and back. So if you want yours to be higher, you can actually make it higher. So this is me also cutting the sides. And then I'll go ahead and cut the waistline and also remove the zipper bulge. So now we have our back piece. So I can remove this and then go ahead and retrim the front armhole. So now I have the actual front armhole plus half inch for joining our sleeve. So here you can see what we have. So the back is a little wider by half of an inch. So that's that. So now remember that our front and back lengths are not equal. For my client, her front length is 16.5 is 16 inches. So that's why, and I added half inch to give me 16.5. her back length is 15 inches. So that's a difference of 1 inch. I hope we get it. This is because of the bust. So for the back pieces, I'm going to be cutting out 1 inch from that measurement. So you can see me marking from the waistline. I'm taking out 1 inch from the measurement. So I'll be cutting out that and throwing it away because we don't need it. Our front and back lengths are not the same. So that is why I'm removing this. So this is also referred to as your bust dart or your side dart. So of course, we're going to be sewing the front and the back piece together at the side. So we must also remove that difference in front. It is either you sew it as a dart or you close it up. And that closing up is removing it in this case because I'm drafting on my fabric. So I'm marking that same 1 inch, which is the difference between the front and back. And then I'm going to slant it to nipple point. So that is why I'm going ahead to mark the bust span now, which is the dart. So which is at 4 inches. So that is at 4 inches. So I'm going to slant my 1 inch mark to that point and then take it off. Can you see? So you can see that it actually looks like a side dart. So it is either you trim it out or you sew it around the bust line because this is your bust dart. I hope we get it. So now I have my front pieces and the back pieces all matching up. So the next thing I'll be doing is to draw my dart. So I'm marking the bust pan, which is also the nipple to nipple measurement. I earlier said that the nipple to nipple of my client is 8 inches. So half of 8 inches, that's 4. So I marked 4 inches on the bust line and I came down by 1 inch from the bust line. You can see that mark below the bust line, 1 inch below the bust line. And then also on the waistline, I'm marking half inch on both sides. So you can see I'm connecting the dart legs to where the dart will stop. So 1 inch below the bust line is where the darts will stop. So I'm also going to repeat the same thing for the back. So this is me placing the front and the back together. I haven't marked where the dart is on in the front. So I'm notching it to indicate that that's where it will also be at the back. So remember that we have taken out our zipper bulge. So if you don't do that, it's likely going to shift. So despite the fact that we have taken out our zipper bulge, it doesn't mean that things will shift. Everything remains where it's supposed to remain. I earlier mentioned that our back waistline is smaller. You can look at yourself in the mirror. You will notice that you are smaller at the back compared to the stomach area. So I've gone ahead to mark the back chest line. So you can see the chest line is also the armhole line. The darts, my back dart will be stopping half inch below the chest line. So you can see why I came down there. So this is me also connecting my dart legs. So that's that for the front and back pieces. So I've gone ahead to cut out the fabric for my side frills. All I did is to use the length of my Paloma fabric and it is 60 inches in length and you can see the width is 8 inches. I have 4 pieces of this. 2 will be for one side and 2 for the other side. So, and remember I said the length of my fabric is 60. So by the time I join them together, of course, I'll be having like 118 or 19 because when I join, of course, I'll lose because I'll lose some inches and I'll also be trimming the savage. What necessitated this measurement is the side measurement of my skirt. Remember, I'll be attaching the side frills to the side of the skirt. So the length I have at the side of the skirt is 42 inches. So this is me measuring it. Can you see? I have 42 inches. So that 42, I multiplied that 42 with about 3 or let's say 2.5. That's about 3. Remember it's 42 and I said I have just 120. So you just multiply about with about 3 or thereabout so that you can gather it to that part that it gives you that fullness. I hope we understand. So now it's time for us to cut our sleeve and this sleeve is going to be is going to be kind of puffy. So first, before you start cutting your sleeve, you put into consideration the round shoulder measurement. That's the round of the shoulder measurement of the person, or your own round of the shoulder measurement. In this case, the round shoulder measurement of my client is 39 inches. That's our off shoulder measurement. So 39 inches. Remember that the front already we have 6 inches in front. That's plus half inch, which is for sewing along. That's what made it 6.5. So we have 6 inches in front, and it is on fold. So that is 12 inches. And the back we have 6.5, so which is 13 inches. So 13 plus 12, that will give us 25 inches. So I'm going to be subtracting that 25 inches 5 inches from the round shoulder measurement. I hope you understand. So subtracting 25 inches from our round shoulder measurement, we're going to be left with 14. This 14 will have to divide it into two, one for the right and one for the left. That will give us 7 inches. But remember, I said that this sleeve is going to kind of be puffy. So at the upper part of the sleeve, which is where my tape is right now, I marked 3.5, which would have been the actual shoulder measurement, but I went ahead to add extra 4 inches to it. So that is why it is this wide. So 3.5 plus 4 inches, that's about 8.5. So can we say that? So and then I went ahead to connect the sleeve length. I made the sleeve 13 inches. So this is it. So here I have my sleeve. So I'm going ahead to cut it out. So this is the upper part of the sleeve, and then this is the armhole area, and I also have my hemming allowance. So whatever is your round shoulder measurement, you will subtract it from your front measurement. That's from what you have in front and what you have at the back. That will now determine what you'll be using for your sleeves, both sleeves. Okay, so this is what my sleeve, the off shoulder sleeve, looks like. So by the time I gather it, this is what I'll be having. And then I'll also fix elastic at the down part and also at the upper part. So that's that. So I've gone ahead to sew my darts, and I've also fixed my zipper. You see what we have? It's looking all neat and coming out well. I made sure that my darts are aligned. My zipper is also aligned. This is what we have at the back. Also, my darts too are aligned at the back. And I also left a slit opening of 20 inches at the back of the skirt. This actually depends on your preference. If you want to have more than that or lower than that, please feel free to do what you want to do. So here for the front, I've also joined the front and that's the down part and the upper part. You can see what I have here. You can see, and I also neatly turned the sides. So remember, my front skirt is dartless. I decided to make the front skirt is that without that. So I've gathered my sleeve. And you can see I also fixed my elastic. Like I said, I was going to fix elastic into it. So now, when you're deciding the width of the elastic, remember that the remaining part of the shoulder, the round shoulder measurement we were looking for is 14, which we divided by 2, which gave us 7, 7. So you want to make your elastic 1 or 2 inches shorter than that 7 so that it doesn't fall. Remember, it's an elastic, it will stretch out. So if you subtract 1 or 2 inches, or depending on how stretchy your elastic is, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 inches, that will be fine. So I fixed my elastic into the casing. I folded my hemming allowance and fixed my elastic into it, and for both up and down. So now this is me fixing the sleeve to the armhole of this gown. So I'll do that, take it to my sewing machine and join it. Can you see what we have? So I'll also place it and I'll also pin it to the back so that I can go and join it on my machine. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side too, and then I'll come back and show us how to fix the side frills. So I've joined my sleeves, as you can see, and I went ahead to weave it also, and my work is looking all neat. So now it's time for us to fix the side frills. This is the front part of the gown. Can see that my sleeves are well aligned. So without wasting time, let's go ahead and fix our side frills. So first, you can see I've gathered my frills. I used the longest stitch on my machine. So I gathered my side frills to 39 inches. Remember I said that the length on the side, we measured it and we got 42 inches. I gathered it to 39 inches because I want the side frills to start 1 inch below the waistline and stop 2 inches above the hemline. So 42 minus 3, that will give me 39 inches. So I gathered the side frills to that 39 inches. So I'll be placing it on the right side of the front piece. So you can see I'm marking my 1 inch, and then I'm also going up by 2 inches at the hemline of the skirt. So you can see my gathers is quite full. That's why I said you should multiply whatever the length is by 3 or 2.5 depending on the fabric you have. So can you see? So I'm placing my side frills right side facing the right side of my front piece. So can you see? And I'm starting 1 inch below the waistline. And you can also see that I've hemmed the other end, and I've also hemmed the two edges. So it's just the other side that is going into the seam line that I just wove it. I didn't sew that side down. That's the part with the stitch. I didn't sew the tip down. So can you see that? So just going ahead to fix it. So I actually decided now that I'm going to be placing it from the waistline instead of putting it 1 inch below the waistline. I just realized that it will actually come out finer. But you can also do it 1 inch below the waistline if that's what you want. But I want it to start on the waistline so that it aligns with the half length there. So that's why I just shifted up. So what this means is that I'm going to extend it a little so that the whole length will be 40 inches. That's it, to stop 2 inches above the hemline. So this is me just arranging it. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to pin it to the side there, and then I'll take it to my sewing machine and top stitch it before I place the back piece and shape this dress. That's to couple the dress together. So let's continue with our pinning. So you just want to make sure that you are carefully doing this. You want everything to just sit really well. So can you see? I'm done pinning one side. Can you see what we have? So at the hip area, you will notice that I went in a little because the hip bulges more outwards, you get. So if I go in, that's if I keep taking it, placing it on that curve the way it is, the hip area, that's the frills on the hip area, will be shorter. So this is me trying to align it so that the frills will be straight, like you can see. So if I had taken it in at that hip line there, because the hip goes more outward, if I take it in at that part, it will make the side frills around the hip area shorter. I hope we get it. So I'm just going to, you can see that I went in by like 3/4 of an inch. So by the time I sew it, it will actually come out well, and no side of the frills will be shorter. So I'm going to place my back piece on it and then take it to my sewing machine, sew it, and show us what we have. I'll be repeating the same thing for the other side, and then we'll see what we have. Now I'm done pinning the side frills to both sides of the skirt. So first I'm going to top stitch it on half inch very close to the tip before I go ahead and place the back piece over it like this, and then shape on the sewing allowance. You can see I have already marked. So I'll do that and show us what the dress looks like. So here we are, we're done with our gown. Can you see how beautiful it looks on my client? And I also repeated almost the same thing for her using a sequence fabric, but not the same kind of sleeve. And the sequence is a bustier. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please kindly give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also put on your notification bell so that you get notified once I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.